Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Let's go on. As mentioned in the previous chapter, in order to avoid the torment of the sexual assault experience, child A suggests the emergence of a new self-G, child B, to avoid harm. This new self-G, child B, is an other G relative to the self-G of child A. That is, the G connection between them is weak. Similarly, child A can also suggest the emergence of a child C to seek benefits. The new self G, child C, has a stronger G connection with the self G of child A and can be the G of a relative of A. For example, if child A's father passed away when he was very young, and he witnessed the love of other fathers for their children, he also desired the return of his father. Moreover, he has fantasized many times about his father's care for him. Essentially, these fantasies are the G-waves that appear in the G-wave display area when a series of pseudo-experiential G in his brain are activated. And there is undoubtedly a G connection between this pseudo-experiential G and the father G of a child C. Child A yearns for his father's love. In reality, he may play the role of his father to love himself. For example, when seeing other fathers buying candied halls for their children, um, may use his may use his own change to pretend to be his father and buy candied horse for himself. This process is undoubtedly a reinforcement of the father G of child C by the current environment. And for A, he gets the candied horse bought by his father, quote father, yes. And many player sub G are effectively activated. This is a positive feedback. As we know, if the activation of a G receives positive feedback from the environment, this G will become even stronger. Then the father G of child C will become stronger, and this role playing process will repeat. And additional effect of this repetition is that when the father G is activated, the activation of all numerous instinctive G that control the life operations, sensations, and movements of child A at the moment will form G connections with it. Then a new self G, child C, is formed again, and the pseudo experiential G in child A's brain will also become the experience G that child C regards as his own. In addition to the subjective avoiding harm or seeking benefits that can generate new personalities, environmental guidance can also play a role. However, no matter what kind of environmental guidance it must go through subjective suggestion. For example, when an actor is deeply involved in performing a TV drama, the entire acting process can be regarded as a process in which the personality of the character they play keeps emerging. This process is undoubtedly guided by the film team, but the actor must be dedicated, otherwise, the character creation will fail. Once the actor is fully committed, the personality of the character is bound to be formed, and this personality will continue to have an impact after the filming is completed. The actor needs to eliminate it through continuous self suggestion in reality. After understanding multiple personalities, we can understand why there are folk scenes such as a certain family member's spirit possessing someone, or a fairy showing its presence. Most likely, these statements refer to the manifestation of other personality of a multiple personality patient. The fairy can also be generated as a personality. Using the G theory, we can understand multiple personalities more accurately. The generation of a new personality can be regarded as the birth of a combined G. Since it is a G, it conforms to various attributes and evolution law of G. For example, it has a certain amount of G energy, which makes itself activation has a certain kind of rhythmicity. It has G connections with other cognitive G, so its activation can be triggered by a certain environment. For other example, the manifestation of a new personality can be seen as the effect of the activation of the new self-G on the combination of the motor instinctive G. Then, a vector winning out effect can occur between it and the original self-G, that is, the main personality. Also, since it is a G, it has a certain degree of stability, but it is also in a continuous state of evolution and can be reshaped. Therefore, its treatment is often not achieved overnight, but a cure can be realized. In the treatment of multiple personalities, communication with the main personality is extremely important. The main personality is often the patient's most powerful self-G, but this G needs to be further strengthened. Blindly using language to guide the disappearance of other personality G is extremely wrong and may lead to immeasurable consequences because each personality may independently control the patient's body. A more appropriate approach is to base on a relative strong main personality. Communicate with the patient's multiple personalities so that strong G connections are formed between the multiple personality G. At the same time, guide the establishment of self-suggestion G for multiple personalities, that is, all the selves in the patient jointly and consistently help the main personality do something. That will make the multiple personality G gradually approach the main self G, so that the multiple personality G form a large combined self G centered around the main self G. When an actor detaches from the villainous personality they played, it is necessary to strengthen the authenticity of reality and the non-authenticity of acting. However, understanding and forgiving one's own villainous personality is also meaningful. If you are such a willing actor, you might tell your villainous personality like this: I thought I did those bad things in the drama, but actually I didn't. I'm a person with the common human tendency to seek benefits and be selfish. In the fictional environment of the drama, I could only passively take what I thought was the most beneficial reaction. In fact, I didn't really experience those environmental events and didn't do those bad things. I'm not a bad person. Alright, guys, that's all the content today. How do you feel? Leave the comment below. See you next time. Bye bye.